Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and this idea of Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition's future, of it being in the hands of people who do not love Dungeons & Dragons and do not understand Dungeons & Dragons, and the surprising results of that, right? Because I think we're like, oh, it's going to be terrible. I'm not convinced it's going to be terrible. I think it's going to be a different future than we expect, and I think there's lots of room to play, no pun intended, for dungeon masters and players who still love Dungeons and Dragons and still want to be connected to the current Dungeons and Dragons, even as they're repulsed by it, by the canon. Okay, so I'm watching, Star Trek Discovery right now, and I am 100% convinced that what's happening on Star Trek Discovery is the future of Dungeons and Dragons. So I'll summarize it really clearly. Star Trek Discovery is a complete and utter rejection of everything Gene Roddenberry ever believed. It is basically Star Trek Discovery is Starfleet is warmongers who use conscription and eugenics manipulation, right? So, clearly, the hopefulness of Gene Roddenberry's future is gone, and now the canon, the live-action show of Star Trek, is given to people who neither love Star Trek nor understand Star Trek. I think this is completely clear. And I think this is absolutely a future that is coming for Dungeons & Dragons. So where do we get stuck? If you love Dungeons & Dragons and Dungeons & Dragons is going to be handed over to people who neither love Dungeons & Dragons nor understand Dungeons & Dragons, where does that put you? Well, the place might not be as bad as you expect, right? Why? Well, I'll give you one. There's a lot of reasons why this future is not hopeless, right? There's a couple reasons. So one, I'm just going to talk about one of these reasons today. You will encounter brilliance in a Dungeons & Dragons that is controlled by people who do not understand Dungeons & Dragons and do not love Dungeons & Dragons. How do I know this? Because it's happening in Star Trek Discovery, right? So Star Trek Discovery is a terrible, terrible, terrible show that I am dragging myself through because I am trapped by Star Trek. There will never be a world in which I don't watch every single episode of every single Star Trek that is in existence. There will never be an unwatched episode of Star Trek as long as I live, and it's not behind a very, very high paywall, right? So as long as they're free, I'll always watch them, right? Okay. And by the way, the reason I'm watching Discovery is it has become free to me because I got Paramount Plus for 99 cents a month. So here's where we're at, okay? What is brilliant in Star Trek Discovery? In this horrific, terrible show, Star Trek Discovery, there is the most brilliant alien creature I have ever seen in any Star Trek show. It is Saru. So Saru is a prey species. He is an alien species. I have no idea what he even is, right? I'm struggling to barely even watch this thing. But I do know Saru is a brilliant alien creature design. I've never seen anything like it. So his entire species, Saru is as tall as a basketball player. He's literally 7 feet tall, right? So he towers above everybody else, but he's fast and lanky, right? Also, he looks like an alien. He has a horrific alien face that looks really unhuman, right? And he looks like an alien, which is pretty good. That's not a small thing. And there's a lot of four-head aliens in Star Trek, and they did the work on this. He has cloven hooves, and he looks alien, right? So just visually, he is stunning, right? He's just really Saru is incredible. So what is Saru? So Saru is a prey species. He is a sentient species that was eaten by a predator species on his planet. And because of this, his entire species evolved to be incredibly aware of whenever death is near, right? And he has threat ganglia. He has these things that stick out the back of his head when there is any sense of danger, when he has a sense of danger. So he is 100% aware that he is alarmed, and everyone around him is visually aware that everyone is alarmed. And Saru is brilliant because what Saru is a complete and utter celebration of fear, right? And an understanding of fear, right? Fear is incredibly valuable, right? In Dungeons and Dragons, we don't get this. We don't understand this, right? Fear is a debilitating state that lets us do less. I was a security guard. I don't talk about this a lot, but I was a security guard for about 4 years of my life, a professional security guard. And I guarded a canning factory that had been decommissioned at night because they were still, even closed, doing no work. There was millions of dollars of property in this factory that had to be protected at night, right? And so I would walk through this. It was like the set of a horror show, right? And I was afraid a lot because it was in a neighborhood where crime was high. This is like back in the 90s. And I was always frightened that, like, I would lose my life over some tuna canning equipment, right? And but my fear made me do my job better, right? And I understood fear. And I have not seen a character design as brilliant in Saru in any Star Trek show. So while the show is absolutely terrible and is a complete and utter betrayal of every single thing, all the core principles of Gene Roddenberry, the people who are making this show are brilliant. There's no two ways. That is not debatable, right? So a lot of times people are like, oh, the thing that I love is being, ruined, right? Well, and the people who are doing it are stupid. No, that's not correct. Often the people who will literally, eviscerate the thing you love, they will be brilliant and creative, right? And we need to be ready to see the sources of brilliant, beautiful light that will exist in the product that we think we should hate, but we may not, but there might be a lot of reasons to not hate it, right? So I really think that if you want to see the future of Dungeons & Dragons, look at Star Trek Discovery. Everything that's happening with that property, I think will happen with Dungeons & Dragons. But it doesn't mean we need to abandon Dungeons & Dragons. It means that we need to be ready and to understand what's going to happen. And then we can find our place in the ruins, right? You could live in ruins, and I think that's where we're going. We're gonna live in ruins, which is kind of ironic because we as players and dungeon masters will be living in the ruins of Dungeons & Dragons, even as our player characters explore ruins in Dungeons & Dragons. Well, that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.